Good evening. Hello, you people with us? All right. We're off to start Sefiras Ha'omer, and I don't know if anybody bought a text with you or not, but probably for these kinds of shiurim, when it's just a regular Mishneh Berureh, it's not a bad idea to just have a Mishneh Berureh. Somebody has one, but whatever. Belel Sheni Achar Tfilas Arvis Maschil Lisbor Ha'omer. That's when you start to count. If you didn't count the beginning of the night, you can count the whole night.
Where are we?
I'm sorry, we're at Taf Pei Tes Sif Aleph. Chelek Hey Mishneh Berureh. Taf Pei Tes Sif Aleph. Okay? Now, this idea of tmimos is, in my opinion, a very difficult idea to understand. There's a lot of pieces to it, and each piece has its own, I would say each piece has its own problem to it. I guess that's better, so I should be off balance. And we're going to just try to discuss some of the pieces. Tmimos, we're familiar with the halacha, is the last night of Sefira. We don't make Shavuos early, and the reason why I don't make Shavuos early isn't because we don't want people to not have so much time to learn on Shavuos night. The reason why is you don't want to end Sefira early. You want Sefira to end when it ends naturally, so that you have full days. Now, I'll just give an example of this question, which is discussed in many different places. We'll use one, a lady who has to count Zayin Ikiyim, and she starts off counting in America, and then she flies to Eretz Yisrael. So Shkia will be here about 7.5 hours earlier than it is in New York. So being that that's the case, so what actually happened is that she doesn't have a whole 7 times 24, right? She's having less time than that. So is that a problem or is that not a problem? This happens when one flies on a tinus. You could have the same kind of an issue. Someone flies on Shivasa B'Tammuz. There's a truth for a Bosner about this. So it becomes very difficult if somebody's traveling from east to west. Someone's going to America, and you get dehydrated on the plane, and then you have this extra long fast, and you weren't sleeping the night before, so you have to fast those extra hours. I'll just say, in the simple understanding is, of course you do, because it doesn't make any difference. Just like in the regular, let's say, we'll talk about November, or talk about November, then your days get shorter and shorter all the time. So are you going to say that doesn't count as a day because your day only has 23.5 hours? It's ridiculous, right? So too, just because you started your day one place and you ended it in a different place, just because it's 7.5 hours shorter, doesn't make any difference. And you have to fast the whole time, and the lady has to wait until Shkia to go to the mikveh. And the other way is true too. If you started your fast in America and you whizzed off to Eretz Yisrael, then you have a shorter fast, or the lady has less time to wait to go to the mikveh. I will just mention that Rabbi Yashiv has a tshuva where he discusses a baby who was born in America on Shabbos, and they want to have the bris here in Eretz Yisrael on Shabbos. If I'm not mistaken, this says that if the baby was born on a time that it wasn't Shabbos here anymore, then you can't do it on Shabbos in Eretz Yisrael. And he's not the only one who has that opinion. But this idea of what does tmimos mean is needs to be understood, because at the end of the day, I counted the first day. What's the difference if I counted in the beginning, I counted in the middle, or I counted at the end? At the end of the day, a person had full 7 days. If I ask, did you count that day? The answer is yes. So why should there be any problem? Anybody want to try to answer that question? Okay. I'll take that as a nobody wants to. Okay. So I'm gonna what? Let's share something from Miami. Yes. What do they say in Miami? What's the answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, what does yeah mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'll accept it.
You'll accept
I'll
what?
accept the explanation.
You'll accept the explanation. Okay.
The explanation that you gave. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't give an explanation. I just asked the question, and I'm just going to say a fascinating thing. There's a tshuva in Igros Moshe where he discusses a lady who makes a hefsek taira. He says that lechatchila she should come to the Rav to ask the shaila before shkia, so that she has all of the zayin akiyim with a cognizant yediyah that it is that she's taller. Now, that's not the classical psak. The classical psak is it's 100% okay. As long as at the end of the day you found out that you did what you were supposed to do, it's good enough. And even Ramay showed it's good enough. He just says that lechatchila, we want that you should have a full sheva negim with a cognizant yediyah about it. Okay? So even though a person counted the whole time, but there's a difference. I'll just say, the only thing I can say, so you came to the chasna, aha. So you came by the chuppah, you came by the entree, you came for the second dance. What's the difference? You were by the chasna. Is that true? Depends who it is.
It depends if you're the chassan, right?
So chassan can send the shliach. Doesn't say that you can send the shliach to be mesamech the chassan, right? But anyways, the answer to the question is that there's still an aspect of you closing the ends, even though you got in a pass-fail course, but you still got 100 is different than just getting a 65. So the end of the day is that there's an aspect of tmimus, but that tmimus doesn't make a difference b'diavad. So if a person didn't do it in the beginning, as long as he did it at night, it's good enough. But we try that you should have the whole day. The whole day should be counted, and it's not just that you did roiv of it, so that it's called like you did it. That's the idea over here of the halacha. Now, the Mishneh Berureh, I would like to point out a Mishneh Berureh Beis Achar Tfilas Arvis V'Kaidam Aleinu D'Kol De Efshel L'Kedume. However, you can make it earlier. Makdamino, you make it earlier. Kadesh Yiskayim. Listen to the words. Yoser Mizeh Shekosov Tamimas Tiyano. It's more Tamimas than not. Okay, that means even if you counted late at 12 o'clock at night, it's still Tamimas. But it's more Tamimas if you did it earlier. And now we just explained that idea. Maschil in this one. Nashim va'avodim peturas b'mitzvah zu. This is a mitzvah zman groma. Why is it a zman groma dika mitzvah?
Because it's a set time. That means it's a set time to do it.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a question. But before I'm liable for entrapment, I would like to ask a question. Okay.
Yeah.
Kiddush Levana. Is that a mitzvah hasei zman groma?
Yes.
Which zman is it that's garment?
You only have till the 15th of the month to do it, so that could be zman grama.
Okay. Anybody else want to say something? I'm going to tell you something novel. That's what I'm telling you from Shlomo Kluger. Yechiel, you wanted to say something?
No, I was going to say that it would be the other way around. It's because you can only do it once you have a new moon.
Oh, so therefore,
so the Zman is Garim the mitzvah. Is that what
the Zman? I don't know what you said. The man is what?
The Zman is Goreim. The Zman is the Goreim of the mitzvah.
Okay, you don't mean the Zman is Goreim the mitzvah. You don't mean that. You mean that the event is Goreim the mitzvah.
Right.
All right. If you would have somehow or another. If we would be living on what is that, Saturn that has 11 moons? Which planet is that? Okay, you guys must be. Okay, I don't know if you know that there are 9 planets and one just lost its status as a planet. I don't know. We sat shiva on that one, but at any rate, At any rate, every time there's a new moon, so you make Kiddush Levana. Now it happens to be the new moon only comes around once a month. It would speed itself up and come around more often. We'd have to make more Kiddush Levanas, right? So it's not a once a month happening. It's an event happening. How often do you say a Shechianu on your new fruit? Once a year. Why? Because there's only a new season once a year. If there'd be a new season twice a year, you'd say it twice a year. Right? No, so this is what he says. So now, let's think about it. Sefiras Ha'omer, this is the question, and I'd like you to think about it, and maybe I'm not sure if I should be mean and answer the question or come back to it. Why is there no Sveika D'Yoma on Sefiras Ha'omer? If it's a time-oriented idea, so just like all Chiyuvei Chodesh have a halacha of Sveika D'Yoma, so we should count Sfira with a stutter. Something like that. Every day you should count 2 days because we're not really sure if today is that day or not. Lev, you have something to say? No? Okay, that's a good answer.
It's not a
No,
counting.
I've been trying to figure out, I made the Rod the host rather than the co-host, so I can't control the muting of the meeting.
Okay. Okay, I feel empowered, but I have no idea what to do. Okay, I'm talking just the same. Anyways, that's the question. That's the question that I'm gonna ask. Why is there no Sveika D'Yoma on Sefiras Ha'omer? Ari, you want to say something?
I would say that Sefiras Ha'omer is the actual counting. You don't have to count. You just have to count in Machras Shabbos. But when you counted, you did the counting.
So what's that? But which day is Machras Shabbos? That's exactly the question. I live in Florence, and if you have one of those fancy American agodas, they have the Sefiras Ha'omer after the Seder, so it shouldn't be hard to Sasri. I don't know if any of you remember that, but that's what some of them have because it's not really the day of Sefiras Ha'omer.
Well, no, that's not true. That's not true at all. Because whether I'm in Eretz Israel or I'm in America, we still start counting at the same time. There's no Sveika D'Yoma there.
That's exactly the question. You make 2 Sidorim in America? Not you, but other people.
Yes.
Why?
Other people make it. Correct. So
Why?
it has nothing to do with a Seder.
One second. Why do they make 2 Sidorim?
Sveika D'Yoma.
Because the second night may be the first night, right?
Yeah. Boy, that would really be confusing. Yeah. Okay.
The reason that you count, the reason why you have a second Seder is because maybe the second day is the 15th of Nisan, right? So if it's the 15th,
it won't apply today now.
Over, don't we know already?
I just want to know, yes, does anybody in America that gets you as annoyed as I do?
Other Rebbeim.
And Shmini Atzeres, do you make a bracha in the sukkah?
That's a very good question. The Taz says that could be that you should, because Sveika D'Yoma can't take away the mitzvah d'oraisa, and therefore the Taz says you should not make early. I don't call it early Shabbos on Shmini Atzeres, but whatever you want to call it. But there's a machlokes about that, and if you make it Shmini Atzeres, it's not sukkahs anymore.
The problem with the other chagim, the problem with Sfira is that if you do 2 days, they contradict each other. Everything else, it's not contradicting each other.
Okay, and therefore what?
Therefore, you can't do it as a Sveika D'Yoma because then you got nothing.
All right. Okay. So maybe we're all doing nothing anyways, right?
Well, we got 50-50 then.
Yeah, okay. All right. And we'll go back to the question, should you count when you have a suffix? All right, anyways, but the bottom line, the Mishneh Berureh says that Sefiras Ha'omer is a mitzvah. What do you want to say? What am I bothering you about? Sefiras Ha'omer is a mitzvah seishas grama, and therefore women are parted from Sefiras Ha'omer. Says the Mishneh Berureh something which I would like to read it to you because many people understand this Mishneh Berureh one way, and in the light of the shir that we had yesterday, for those of you who were there, maybe you'll see that the Mishneh Berureh was actually saying something else. Let's see what it says. Because of Rabbi Avrohom, this idea of Shavu Alai Chova, we have it a few places. I have no idea what it means. I really don't. If anybody would explain it to me, I would really appreciate it. In our provinces, they don't count at all. Because of the Sefer Shulchan Shlomo, the Al-Koponim lo yivorchu. Women should not make a bracha on Sefiras Ha'omer. Why? They're going to make a mistake. And being that this is counting, and if you don't know what you're saying, you're not counting, so it's not called counting. This Mishneh Berureh is irrelevant in Eretz Yisrael. I think that all women know how to count to 49 in Hebrew. I don't know for all of them, but I think we could just say that's a given. But what is the first reason that he says? Anybody have a Mishneh Berureh there?
No.
I'm going to read it again.
Because they're going to mess up?
They're going to mess up. What does the word mess up mean?
They're not going to make it through the whole counting.
Listen to the words.
No, they're going to get confused as to what day it is.
That's right. That's what I think that it says. The
first day? Yom Echad means.
What does the word yitu mean?
Make a mistake.
What kind of mistake? So I think most people learn this Mishneh Berureh. The mistake that they're going to make is that they're not going to count. Is that what the word yitu means?
It's a mistake. Truthfully speaking, I would think the opposite. Of all the people that shouldn't make a mistake would be women, because they're used to the idea of counting. They got to count for the kiyum. They got to count for all the time. They should even be more than men.
Okay. They should balance the checkbook also.
Right.
Okay. I will just say that I mentioned this some this year. I said whoever makes it all the way to the end gets extra credit this year, because most men are cheaters because they daven in shul, so it's easy to remember to count. This year, unfortunately, many people are not davening in shul, so you have to remember on your own steam, and it's much easier to forget. And that's why I advise everybody to put it into their watch, in their phone, or there's something, some kind of a reminder. I'm sure there probably is even some kind of a downloaded app that does to jump you out of bed in the middle of the night to get it going. But anyways, here's the suggestion that maybe over here when it says the toe doesn't mean that they're going to make a mistake and forget, but they're going to miscount because they aren't so used to counting as we are nowadays. You know, we counting in Hebrew, get the days straight. So it could be that they're, but anyways, that's the bottom line. The words that the Mishneh Berureh says, I don't have a Shulchan Shlomo. The words of the Mishneh Berureh says that they're going to make a mistake. It does not say that they're not going to count. Okay, that's just for the benefit of those who were at yesterday's shir.
Yeah, but the same way as they can make a mistake, we as men can make a mistake also. I don't know why they're pointing it so much so to the to women.
I'm going to answer that question. And I will tell you, I have a friend of mine. I used to be a chavrusa of mine. There was a Sephardi guy, and this Sephardi guy, his grandmother came over to Eretz Yisrael, Berech B'Koma Medina, something like that. So I asked him once, I said, I'm asking you a question. You may not feel comfortable answering it, but I really must know the answer. Does your mother know how to read Hebrew? Grandmother, does she know how to read Hebrew? And he looks at me and said, no.
Mm-hmm. It's very common. It was very common then.
Yeah, no, I asked him the question. That wasn't like, I asked the question. He said, no.
Yeah.
I said, does she know how to daven? She says, she has her tefillas that she says. And here she's living in this country, for a zillion years, and she still doesn't know how to count. That was normal that was normal. I don't know what you want to call it exactly. That was normal 70 years ago for women not to know how to count. They were high. I hope this isn't being recorded, but this time I guess it is. They were highly illiterate by what we call today's standards, and they didn't know. They didn't know. You can't compare your wife to her grandmother.
Correct, 100%.
Okay. Anyway, so that's I just say that they were, today's women. I would say there are many of them that daven Ma'ariv. I don't believe any of your grandmothers daven Ma'ariv. Let's just leave it at that. Okay. I don't know if we're going forwards or backwards, but we'll just leave it as a statement. All right. Anyways, so that's what the Mishneh Berureh says. Let's go weiter. Now, the chol the law over halayla, as long as the night didn't pass, it's still called tmimus. But it's, when I was a little kid, there were Dixie riddle cups. I don't know if any of you guys remember that, but they were these cups that you got from Dixie, and they had riddles on them. One of the riddles on them was, how far can the dog run into the forest?
How far into the forest can the dog run?
Yes. So the answer on the
Halfway.
Dixie cup, that's right. Why? That's
Because
correct.
if he keeps on going, he's running out of forest.
Correct. Okay. So now the Achronim say that there's an aspect of Zrizim Magdimim Mitzvahs. And this is actually something which is relevant to me quite often. Somebody wants to make a bris in the afternoon. So this is right now, I'm not right now speaking about a specific person. I'm just right now giving a general psak. I urge people that they should make their bris as early as possible because there's a din of zrizis. And not only that, according to some, besides shui mitzvah mashinan, according to many, if you make it after chatzos, you're not called a zaris anymore. Until chatzos, you can be called a zaris. Why? Because after chatzos, you're already on the way out, not on the way in, right? So you can't be called a zaris if you're already on the second half of the forest. Okay, and I knew that this real cup would have some place in Torah at some point. At any rate, so if a person is called tmimos, as long as he did it at night, which is called a time to count, then he is yaitza. If you did it after the night, then we're going to see later on, could very well be that you're not yaitza. But once you're yaitza, so it's called tmimos, because by definition, if you're yaitza, it has to be called tmimos. Now, it's not so true what I just said. I'd like to share with you a experience that I had some 30-some years ago. There was a fellow in Yerushalayim whose name was Rabbi Heller. Rabbi Heller was the expert in Esrogim in Yerushalayim. His father was an expert in Esrogim. He was an expert in Esrogim. And I had the privilege to learn a little bit about Esrogim under his guidance, I think the last 2 years that he was alive. And one guy came with this esrog that had a wonderful yichus, but it didn't have good looks. We'll just leave it like that. And he was all excited about his esrog, and he shows it to the Rav, and the Rav looks at it, and it says kosher. So the guy wasn't satisfied with his esrog being kosher. He said, "Is it mohuder?" So he said, "It's kosher." So the guy said, "Is it mohuder?" Like the guy's not getting it. You understand? And the Rav was a sweet fellow. He didn't want to make the guy feel bad. And he said, "It's kosher." So the guy pressed again, "Is it mohuder?" So he said, "Listen, it says in the Torah, v'lakachta mechem pri eitz hadar. The esrog is called a pri hadar. So if it's kosher, it has to be a mohuder." And the guy walked away beaming. And he had this big smile on his face. Why should he make the guy feel bad? The Gemara says, "Having a shopchai." This is what he bought. He's happy with it. let him feel happy with it. I think it was quite obvious that he said it's not muhudr. Not once, not twice, not three times, and even the fourth time, I think that's what he said. But if you have your negiyas, you hear what you want. So, anyways, if you're yaitza, so then it has to be tmimus. The Torah says you have to have tmimus, and your yaitza, so it has to be that somehow we can call this tmimus. This is the concept which we're saying over here. Okay, let's go. Let's carry on. Says the Mishnah, the Mechaber. U'mitzvah kol echad ve'echad lispor la'atzmo. It's a mitzvah on everybody to count by themselves. V'tzarech lispor ba'umin, and you have to count standing up. U'levarech tchila, and to make a bracha beforehand. V'sofer yomim v'shvuos. Let's stop over here. Look at the Mishneh Berureh. V'tzarech lispor ba'atzmo. You have to count yourself. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the thing. I want to have an introduction to this Mishneh Berureh to explain it. There is an idea of Shomea Ka'oneh. What does that mean, Shomea Ka'oneh? Simply, it means if you said it for me, it's like I said it. I think that's a nice loose translation of Shomea Ka'oneh. Does Shomea Ka'oneh work for everything that has to be said? No. There's sometimes things that you have to say yourself. And we're going to use an example. There's a very big machlokes, since we just finished with Leil HaSeder. So the simple psak, and there's some Sefer says, but most of the Achronim say like this, a person can be yaitze the mitzvah of Sipur Yitzias Mitzrayim with Shomea Ka'oneh. Person's wife, his kids, could all listen to the Baal HaSeder and be yaitze. Why? Because it's like they said it. I want to ask you a question. If you have a question that you really want an answer to, are you going to let somebody else ask it for you?
Officially not, but officially not. But I mean, my wife has questions all the time, and she says, "You ask the Rav the question. You ask the Rav the question."
You want to know why? She doesn't want to be blamed. I'm just telling you the truth. I don't know how many years you're married, but I'll give you a piece of advice. I'll just tell you a piece of advice, which I actually got this piece of advice. I was probably married like 3 months or something like that. And I had a chavrusa who was way older. He was like 10 years older than me. And he had a massive family, like 5 or 6 kids already. And, he was a very sagely guy. And his wife is a very sagely lady, which they actually are today. They're very prominent people. And I had a question about moving my dira or not. And my wife said, where we live is good enough. We don't have any reason to move. And I really wasn't sure about it. So I asked this lady for her advice. And she gave me 2 pieces of advice, which I carry with me for the last zillion years. And so far, she's on the money. She said, first of all, if your wife wants to have American neighbors, if they're in the next building, it doesn't count. They might as well be in the next neighborhood. Okay, that was first thing that she said. And the second thing that she said was that women by nature are insecure and they're willing to be mevater in order not to expose themselves. So when your wife says that she is satisfied where she is, you better be sure that she's not hiding behind a security issue. This is a piece of advice which was said by a lady about ladies. So you can't accuse me of being a anti-woman fellow. Anyways, it's just where your wife tells you asked the question, that's like basically saying that she puts a tissue on the cockroach before she steps on it, It's ki'ilu that she didn't ask, you understand? I didn't really kill the cockroach, it died by itself. I had a white sheet over it. Anyways, so the mitzvah of Sipur Yitzias Mitzrayim, according to some, since it's an expression of my shvach v'odol HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the way that I feel, I can't have somebody do it for me. It just doesn't happen. It's wrong. So according to some, you can't say Shomea Ka'omer. That's because the person has to do it. It's a mitzvah shebagufo. You have to be the one who is saying over the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim. If that's true, so the question arises, what about Sefiras Ha'omer? Is Sefiras Ha'omer something that you have to do yourself, or can somebody else do it for you? Okay, that's the subject the Mishneh Berureh is going to discuss. Whoever put the Mishneh Berureh there before, you can put it back if you want. So the Mishneh Berureh says as follows. The Chsiv, it says, "Usafartem lachem," and you should count. Mashma shamitzvah chal al kol yochid v'yochid. Each individual is obligated to count. Hine mashma miseh the sfira edo kamo shar mitzvahs hatoli ba'amira. It's not like other mitzvahs that are totally in what a person says. The kiddush, avdolach, yoytzev, v'shama, v'chavero, v'eschav, and lotzes the yoytzev.
Where's the Rav? Which
What?
Mishneh Berureh? Which Mishneh Berureh?
Hey. A little higher. The kiddush avdolach, third line. Okay, so v'shama, v'chavero, v'eschav, and lotzes the yoytzev. That's good. Why? Because Shomea Ka'ona. But Hecha the Gilsa Torah de la Yotza Koma de Loi Siper Batzma. Why? Because what's the lashon in the Torah? Usafartem lochem. You should count. Okay. Aval yesh me'achronim shekasu the kavonas haTorah rak the Loi name of the mitzvah zu al av bez and levad koi kamo b'shmita. There are sometimes that it's the rabbi's job. The chsev sham usafartem lecha. And it's going on Bezdin. Each individual is obligated to it. All this whole discussion is about Sfira. The bracha that you make, the Kuliyam Eshalata Zayidei Chavero Afilu Ubaki Kabal Kol HaBrachas. There's no problem. Mil. Minig b'chol Yisrael shekol echad mevarach u'sayfer la'atzmo ve'in soimchim al hashatz. That's what the minig is. Now, I don't know why there is such a minig, but I would like to make a suggestion. Because of achronim, the sphere mutter b'chol lashon, ve'in sheyavin oisel lashon, v'meino mevin afilu siper b'lashon HaKodesh en yotza. And if you don't understand it, even if you do it in lashon HaKodesh, you're not yotza. Kivin del yoda my kamer en ze sphere, where this is not true by other mitzvahs that have to do with what a person says. The other mitzvah a person says it in Lashon HaKodesh, even though you don't understand it. I say this every year, and I don't think I say it enough. It's a very important idea. A person has to know that in my opinion, you should not rely on the shots. If you did not make a bracha to be yaitza with the shots. And the reason why is because I don't believe the shots has in mind to be yaitza anybody. Maybe the shots is supposed to have that in mind, but I don't think that the average shots is thinking anything. And therefore, if he doesn't have in mind to be yaitza you, could be you're not yaitza. So I think that that's the reason probably that this would happen, and we don't have anybody make the brachas by themselves. All right. There's a bit of halacha over here.
So does that mean that in the shows that I go to, the Rav is the one who usually makes the.
That's why I think that I don't know as a fact, but I think that that's the source of the minig, because we assume that the Rav has in mind to be yaitza people. I know that I do.
So therefore, if you have a mighty motive, I don't have to make the bracha then.
You don't have to.
Right?
That's true. That's true. But the Mishneh Berureh says the minig is that people do it. I guess that could very well be. So we don't want to make any changes. I just mentioned Yisrael Halperin. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
When does your wife make a bracha when she lights candles on Yom Tov?
Same way she does on Shabbos. The same way. Because
anybody over here, the wife does it different?
They're so used to doing it on a Shabbos that for them to think of how to do it on a Yom Tov, it'll be too much.
Okay, that's is that a good reason?
No, it's not. It's not because it's Yantif.
It's okay. We're not talking about you. We're talking about your wife. Yeah, it's okay.
If you want, I'll call her to ask her.
But so I'll tell you, there are two different minhagim. When does your wife make a bracha on the candles on a regular Friday night?
She lights the candles, and she closes her eyes, and then she makes the bracha.
Isn't that a silly thing to do? Don't you know you have to make a bracha before you do a mitzvah?
Definitely. I know, but it's Shabbos. How can you say the bracha and then we become Shabbos and then all of a sudden light it? You're
Excellent. Does that apply on Yom Tov?
In essence, yes. In regard to striking a match, yes.
Well, your wife doesn't strike a match on Yom Tov.
No, because we have a candle on the side. Correct.
So what should she do? What should she do?
She should do it. She should really make the bracha and then light the candles. No question about it.
That's right. So there are those opinions who say that women should do different on Yom Tov than on Shabbos for this exact reason. No, the reason they do it on Shabbos is not applicable on Yom Tov. So the halacha should revert back to the default, and that is that you make a bracha beforehand. However, the Rabbi Avrohom says that that's not the minhag. That's not what we do. And I think that we can all understand the reason why we don't do that is because of what I know. I've had this question, which is a very unfortunate question. When somebody tells me my wife did what she does usually on Yom Tov, that she lights first, and then there came the Shabbos after Yom Tov, and then she did the same thing. What kind of tshuva does she have to do?
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't think of that. That's right. She gets used to it on Yom Tov, and then Shabbos. Then, wow.
I'm careful, even though I usually
light another candle.
Right. I'm careful usually on a regular Shabbos. I usually say Kiddush from a bencher, but always the week after Yom Tov, I always use a bencher because even with a bencher, I have difficulties. I slip into the wrong nusach, right? So this is exactly the reason. I say, even though the idea conceptually they should go back. But if you're going to start playing around, going sometimes this way, sometimes that way, so we don't know where you're going to end up. But anyways, at the bottom line is that a person should make the bracha himself. All right. V'tzarech lispar ma'umit. Person has to make the bracha, the count standing. And this is based on a pasuk. It says something about standing. If a person counted when he's sitting down, you're yaitz. It's not a locha that's makif. All right, but it's very important because I find many times people are like leaning on their standards or something like that. This is just like Kriyas HaTorah, just like Shmona Esrei, and it's not so simple that you're yaitz if you count sitting down. I just saw recently a tshuva, somebody wrote about a choila who's in a hospital. It's difficult for him to get out of bed. How much does he have to exert himself in order to stand up? So, Baruch Hashem, nobody over here is choilim, but the bottom line is that it's important that one should stand properly when he's counting the Sefira. Okay, we're going to stop over here, and I don't want to be late for Meyer, right? Anyways, you should all have a good night. And those who are with us on the Shmer Shayim Chir want to come back tomorrow. We're doing it again tomorrow night at 8:30. 8:30. Okay. All right. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay.
Thank you.